Namaskar and welcome back to Aviation Avi. Go where you feel the most alive. In part 1 of the video on runway and taxiway signs, we explored the world of aerodrome signs, their characteristics, and got up close with the mandatory instruction signs. Yes, the one with red background and white inscription. Today we'll be shifting gears to something as important, which is the information sign, which you may spot at an aerodrome and may have a black background and yellow inscription, or a yellow background and a black inscription, each having a particular specific message to convey. Whether it's helping you to locate a particular point on a taxiway, pointing towards a particular part of the airfield, they are your friendly navigation partner at your airfield. In this video, we will break down the different types of information signs, how to identify them, and where you will usually spot them, so that next time you are at an airport, they are not just random yellow or black boards, but they have clear markers for you to identify a particular part of the aerodrome. So let's get started and decode the language of information sign. As we discussed in part 1 of the video, let us just quickly recapitulate. Signs can either be fixed message signs or variable message signs. And the guidance of this particular signs, you'll find it in ICAO Aerodrome Design Manual, that is ICAO Doc 9157 Part 4. If you need further details on signs, please refer to this document. Signs can be provided to convey a mandatory information on a particular specific location or destination on a movement area, or to provide other information to meet the airside requirements. So why do you actually provide signs? It is to give any mandatory instruction that you must follow, or to provide an information as to where you are going or what is coming up or where you are at an aerodrome. So this is the purpose signs are provided at an aerodrome. Now, as we know, nothing within the runway strip that is not required for navigation of an aircraft should be present. Where if present, that is required for the navigation of the aircraft, they must be frangible. So as we know that these signs are present on the runway strip closer to the runway and taxiway, and the distance as to how far they are located from the taxiway and the runway edge is given in part 1 of this video. So if you remember, can you comment down below how far is a signboard to be located from a runway edge in case of code 3 or 4 runway? Pause the video and let us know in the comment if you remember it. Moving on, signs shall be frangible, and the characteristics of frangible is also something you will find in the ICAO Doc 9157. Those located near the runway and taxiway sign should be sufficiently low to preserve clearance from propellers and the engine pods of jet aircraft. Now let us look at information sign. An information sign shall be provided where there is an operational need to identify by a sign a specific location or routing, that is direction or destination information. So you provide this sign when it is mandatory for you to give a particular information towards a person navigating as to where they are present, towards what direction they are going, or where they are going to. Now, the information signs other than the location sign shall consist of inscription in black and have a yellow background. So as you can see here, this sign, that is a direction sign, has a yellow background with a black inscription. So it is an information sign. Location sign, on the other hand, it has a black background with a yellow inscription, which tells you at what particular location on the aerodrome you are present. Suppose you are on a taxiway and you spot this particular sign. So you know that you are on taxiway Alpha currently. And further, you spot this particular sign. It means that you are on taxiway Bravo currently. If you go in this direction, you will further be continuing on taxiway Bravo. And if you go towards your left or right, you will come to taxiway Charlie. We will look into each of these signs in detail in the coming slides. Further, a combined location and direction sign shall be provided when it is intended to indicate routing information prior to a taxiway intersection, like we demonstrated with this sign, but we will be looking into it in further details in the coming slides. Types of information sign. Runway vacated sign. A runway vacated sign shall be provided when the exit taxiway is not provided with a taxiway centerline light, and when there is a need to indicate to a pilot leaving a runway the perimeter of ILS/MLS critical or sensitive area, or the lower edge of inner transitional surface, or whichever is farther from the runway center line. So which means, let's say this is taxiway Bravo. As you can see, how can you tell this is taxiway Bravo? Because you see the location sign here, the one with black background and yellow inscription. So you are on taxiway Bravo, and this is, let's say this allows an exit on this particular runway. So in case this particular runway is not served with taxiway centerline lights, in that case it is mandatory, it is a shall, that runway vacated sign shall be provided on this particular taxiway. Now, where should it be provided? It should be provided on the edge of ILS/MLS critical sensitive area or the lower edge of inner transitional surface. So which means that when you spot this sign, you will be able to understand that you are clear of the runway. So this particular sign will face you when you are exiting the runway. Let's say there's an aircraft here and it comes in this direction. It spots this sign and it vacates the runway. So when they are clear of this particular sign, they know that they have cleared the runway. A runway vacated sign shall be located at least on one side of the taxiway. The distance between the sign and the center line of the runway shall be not less than the greater of the following, which means at what distance should this particular sign be present from the runway center line? It is the distance between the center line of the runway and the perimeter of ILS/MLS critical sensitive area, or the distance between the center line of the runway and the lower edge of inner transitional surface. Moving on, whether provided in conjunction with the runway vacated sign, the taxiway location sign shall be positioned outboard to the runway vacated sign. So when an information of the location of that particular taxiway is also given, in that case, the runway vacated sign, as you can see here, which depicts a pattern A runway holding position marking, the location sign should be present outboard to that particular sign, which means, as you can see here, this is a taxiway Bravo and it has the runway vacated sign here. So when you are providing information on the location of this particular taxiway, you will provide the location sign outboard to this taxiway. So when you refer to this taxiway, this is the inboard position and this is the outboard position. On the outboard position is the location sign, the inboard position is the runway vacated sign. The next information sign is the runway exit sign. What does it mean? By the word itself, it means it depicts the exit from a particular runway. Now, a runway exit sign shall be provided where there is an operational need to identify a runway exit. Let's see, this aircraft is vacating and it has to vacate the runway via taxiway Bravo. So, some prior information beforehand would be good, right? So, this particular sign, as you can see here, if you move in this direction, while on the runway, you will encounter taxiway Bravo and that will help you exit the runway. So this sign gives that information. So it is called the runway exit sign. A runway exit sign shall be located on the same side of the runway as the exit is located, that is on the left or the right, and positioned in accordance with the table 5-5. Now, you'll find the reference to this table 5-5 in part 1 of the video. Now, what does this mean? Suppose you had a taxiway Charlie over here, north of this particular runway. So you will have a runway vacated sign over here as well that denotes that when you move in this direction, you will encounter taxiway Charlie. And in this case, if you move south, you will encounter taxiway Bravo. Now, a runway exit sign shall be located prior to the runway exit in line with the position at least 60 meters prior to the point of tangency where the code is 3 or 4 and at least 30 meters before the code 1 or 2. So as we said, some prior information would be nice, right? So how much prior will this information be provided? So it will be provided 60 meters in advance to the point of tangency between the taxiway and the runway. The inscription on the runway exit sign shall consist of the designator of the exit taxiway and the arrow indicating the direction to follow. It means this you will be vacating on taxiway Bravo if you proceed in this direction. This is the information that is being transmitted or inscribed on the runway exit sign. The next information sign we have on board is the intersection takeoff sign. An intersection takeoff sign shall be provided when there is an operational need to indicate the remaining takeoff run available for intersection takeoffs, which means, let's say there is an aircraft taxiing on this particular taxiway, enters taxiway Bravo, and then enters the runway and is supposed to take off towards the right. How will the pilot of the aircraft know what is the takeoff run available towards the right when the aircraft enters from taxiway Bravo? This particular information is given by the intersection takeoff sign. It gives the numerical values of the remaining takeoff run available, supplemented by the arrow, which gives the direction in which it has to take off to have that particular numerical value, that is 2500 meters in this case, of takeoff run available if it takes off towards the right. This particular sign is to be located, shall be located at the left hand side of the entry taxiway, which means if an aircraft is entering on taxiway Bravo, this sign should be present on the left hand side, that is towards the captain of the aircraft, left side of the particular taxiway, and the distance of this sign from the runway center line shall not be less than 60 meters when the code number is 3 or 4, and not less than 45 meters when the code number is 1 or 2. The next information sign coming in is the direction sign. A direction sign shall be provided when there is an operational need to identify the designation and the direction of the taxiways at an intersection. So here with us we have taxiway Alpha. When you move left and right, you have taxiway Echo. When you move towards the left in this direction, you have taxiway Foxtrot, and you move in this direction, you have taxiway Tango. So for an aircraft coming in on taxiway Alpha, how do they know in what direction which taxiway is? This information is given by the direction sign. Let's say you are on taxiway Alpha and you spot this particular sign board. So you see that, you know that you are on taxiway Alpha using this location signboard. And if you move in this direction, you will find taxiway Tango, as you can see here. When you move in this particular direction, as you can see here, given supplemented by arrow, you will come across taxiway Foxtrot. When you move exactly 90 degrees left, you find taxiway Echo. 90-degree taxiway right, you find taxiway Echo again. So this information is given by this set of signs. Sometimes this set of sign may not be supplemented with a location signboard, as you can see here, in case there is adequate information already given on the location of the particular taxiway. Now, how do you segregate each of these signs? There is a black line in between each of these information signs to designate this is a particular information given, next is this information, next is this information. So each of these are segregated by black lines. The next sign we have is the location sign. A location sign shall consist of an inscription in yellow on a black background, and when it is a standalone sign, it shall have a yellow border, which means whenever you see a black signboard with yellow inscription, it tells you which part of the aerodrome you are on. And if this sign is not supplemented by any other information sign, it should have a yellow border to ensure its conspicuity. An information sign other than the location sign shall not be co-located with a mandatory instruction sign, as we already saw. In the mandatory instruction sign, which has a red background and white inscription, the only information sign which can be co-located with a mandatory instruction sign is the location sign. Note, the inscription on a location sign shall comprise the designation of the location of the taxiway, runway, or other pavement that aircraft is on or is entering, and shall not contain any arrows. So, a location sign shall be provided at an intermediate holding position. So, what is intermediate holding position? Let's say you have an intersection of two taxiways, in this case taxiway Echo and taxiway Alpha. In order to prevent collision between an aircraft that is on taxiway Alpha and one that is taxiing on taxiway Echo, the aircraft on taxiway Alpha should stop at a particular location well beforehand before it encounters our aircraft on taxiway echo and allow sufficient clearance. So this particular location is designated using a marking, that is the intermediate holding position marking. And as you can see here, this is the intermediate holding position marking. This location should be supplemented with the location sign in order to tell you when you encounter this sign on which particular part of the aerodrome you are on. So this particular information will be given to you by the location sign, as you can see here. So which means you are on taxiway alpha. As we already know what is the direction sign. So now when you see the yellow board with black inscription, you will know that when you move towards the left or right, you will encounter taxiway echo. Now, a location sign shall be provided in conjunction with a runway designation sign except at the runway or runway intersection. A location sign shall be provided in conjunction with a direction sign except it may be omitted where aeronautical studies indicate that it may not be required. So in our previous slide, we saw that location sign was not given in one of the cases because in case we have an aeronautical study, there are sufficient information given on ground to let the pilot of the aircraft know that what particular location of the aerodrome they are on. In that case, the direction sign may not require to be in conjunction with a location sign. Where necessary, a location sign shall be provided to identify taxiways exiting an apron or taxiways beyond an intersection, so which is self-explanatory. Where provided in conjunction with a runway vacated sign, the taxiway location sign shall be positioned outboard of the runway vacated sign. As we can see here, whenever the location sign is supplemented with a runway vacated sign, it is outboard to that particular taxiway. A taxiway location sign installed in conjunction with a runway designation sign shall be positioned outboard of the runway designation sign, as we have already seen here. When you are about to enter runway 15, the location sign you are to designate the taxiway you are on is provided outboard to this particular sign. As you can see here, when you are on taxiway alpha and you're about to enter runway 15, the mandatory instruction sign is present inward and the location sign is present outward. Now you are at the last slide of this presentation, which gives you a little more details on the location sign. When the location and direction signs are used in combination, a direction sign related to left turn shall be placed on the left side of the location sign, and the direction signs related to the right turn shall be present on the right side of the location sign, as you can see here. While on taxiway alpha, when you are to make right turns for taxiway tango, taxiway echo, these particular direction signs are present on the right of the location sign. And when you have to make a left turn for taxiway foxtrot and same for taxiway echo, they are present on the left side of the location sign. Except that where the junction consists of one intersecting taxiway, the location sign may alternatively be placed on the left hand side. The direction sign shall be placed such that the direction of the arrows departs increasingly from the vertical and increasing deviation from the corresponding taxiway, which means let us draw a straight line from taxiway alpha. So the arrows that are present, they should indicate the increasing deviation from taxiway alpha. So the first arrow should be for taxiway tango, further moving on towards the right will be taxiway echo. When we further move anti-clockwise, the first arrow should mention taxiway foxtrot followed by taxiway echo. An appropriate direction sign shall be placed next to the location sign where the direction and location of the taxiway changes significantly beyond the intersection. The adjacent direction sign shall be delineated by a vertical line. As you can see here, these vertical lines, they give you the separation between each of these direction signs. So with this, we come to the end of the video on runway and taxiway signs part 2, where we have thoroughly discussed information signs, which are further location signs and direction signs, destination signs, the intersection takeoff sign, runway exit signs, and we have understood the purpose of each of these signs, how they are located, where they are located, and what information they convey. Enjoyed this video by Aviation Avi. Please do subscribe to our channel because we see that most of our viewers have not yet subscribed. Your subscription is a great motivation for us to keep continuing this work of explaining various international documents in easy ways to make it more understandable to you. Keep supporting us because your support is our motivation. This video was jointly prepared and presented by Mr. Shantanu and myself, Anvesha. Hope you enjoyed this video. Aviation Avi, go where you feel the most alive. Thank you.